Hello, good morning, and welcome to Bill Ricardi's weekly Patreon update. I, of course, am Bill Ricardi, a creator and purveyor of fantasy novels. What's going on this week? Well, our three topics are going to be pretty simple. The first one is the second book in the Blackstaff Siblings trilogy, and we'll talk about the progress made there, which was quite significant. The second thing is my writing education, and why is Bill reading about comic books? Meh. And the third issue is going to be what's going on with these re-releases. I heard about them. How does that affect me? Well, it may or may not affect you, depending on whether you're happy with the format that you currently have. But we'll talk a little bit more about that, particularly as it applies to you Patreon fans, very shortly. So let's start off with progress on book 2 of the Blackstaff Siblings. It's going great. It's going great. 2 full chapters were pumped out. They were some of the shorter chapters, but I got right into the writing groove after all of the technical and advertising stuff that I've had to do recently. I'm right back in it. We're looking at a mid-October release now. We're looking at a September beta. So things are going fairly well. I should complete this entire series. This entire book, I should say, in the next 4 to 4.5 weeks is my current estimate. So yeah, good times, very good times. Another 40 to 45,000 words to go, and we're golden. So yeah, we're right in the thick of things right now. The next subject, Bill, what the heck are you talking about? Your writing education, and what does it have to do with comic books? Well, these are actually fairly simple questions to answer if put into context, and the context is Mind of a Witness. A lot of people came back with feedback for Mind of a Witness, early feedback. I'll be asking for more detailed feedback this weekend. But the early feedback has been, why isn't this a comic book? And I never even thought about that, really, until people mentioned it. So I had to educate myself, because I've never written for a comic book. I've never ghostwritten for a comic book. Nothing having to do with comic books or graphic novels has ever come up in my writing career, and I wanted to make sure I knew what the heck I was talking about before I dove in. The resource I'm using is Words for Pictures by Burtis. Words for Pictures is widely considered the writer's resource for writing for comic books. So I'm deep into it. I'm getting both perspectives. I'm getting the writer's perspective, I'm getting the artist's perspective, I'm getting the team perspective, and everything in between, and how to write not only for comics in the comic book market, but for artists and writing for their artistic freedom, so that they can produce their very best work with as much or as little direction as they desire. So this is great. It's been very educational for me. I'm about halfway through that, and that's what I'm doing in a lot of my spare time. The third topic is all the re-releases. You might have heard about this. What are these re-releases? Well, here's the good news. The good news is, I believe for most of my Patreon fans, it doesn't really affect you. There might be a couple of minor wording changes, as it were, but for the most part, it doesn't affect the Mobi version, as it were. It might affect the EPUB version, however, because some of the EPUB versions, particularly of the later novels, they weren't spacing right. They weren't formatting exactly correctly, but I've worked out all those kinks, and they are now 100% ready, and they're all uploaded to the various stores. So if you did buy any in the likes of Play, or the likes of Barnes & Noble, or the likes of Kobo, then if they have a re-download feature, you can re-download them, and they'll be all up to date. If you need me to send them to you, just pop me an email and say, yes, send me the latest version of these books, for my format. You are patrons, and you get, first priority on all of that stuff. So if you want any updates as far as that's concerned, just let me know. I will email them out to you ASAP. Just let me know which titles you want updates to and what your favorite format is, and you will get them. That's part of being a patron. Yeah. So that is the news this week. Trying to keep it more brief. Let me know if there's anything I can improve on, of course, with these Patreon updates. This weekend looks to be pretty busy for me. I have my continuing education, of course, with the comics, but I also have a couple of side projects as far as looking for publishers for certain orphaned novels and novellas. So we'll see how that goes. Everyone have a safe and lovely week. Over here in Belfast, it's slightly cloudy with absolutely no chance of meatballs. Everyone have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.